So we're going to be working on our styling videos again today, and we have a classic updo that we're going to be working on. And you know, if Gary were working in the salon, this is the same situation that you would have in the salon as well. Client comes in, or as we've got today, our model with freshly shampooed hair, which can be a little slippery when working on putting pins in and putting the hair up. So let's let Gary get on with prepping the hair, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about what Gary's going to do for the updo.
So my number one tip for using dry shampoo with that quantity that I've just used, come back with a nice paddle brush, not the Unite paddle brush, or a dressing brush, cold air on your hairdryer, and just work it through. So you're taking some of that product and it's going to be shifted down the hair shaft. It's going to really add to our prep. So here you can see great distribution of the product, and we've already got some volume in there. So that number one thing I always talk about, changing the fabric of the hair, using the dry shampoo, even on clean hair, is a real bonus for us.
So now that we've seen Gary prep the hair, and again, all of the techniques that he was using with the U-Dry Plus, again, the hair has texture now, it has some body in it now, which is obviously going to make it a lot easier for Gary to manipulate the hair and work the hair into the updo. Any other tips that we might be looking at now, Gary, before we actually go in and start working with the shape?
Yeah, absolutely. So my number one tip as well, especially for working either on fine hair or Asian hair that we've got, because it has a really great slip to it. So you can get that from any hair type. I call it like glass hair, that really slides. So we're going to change the fabric. We want to make it turn into like a rough suede. I'm going to use a mini crimper. We're going retro with our old Unite mini crimper. So we're going to change the interior of the actual hair. We're going to stay away from the outside hairline because that's what we're going to see. And we're going to crimp the interior of the hair. So this creates two things. Not only does it add more body in it, but it creates a great grip for when we're putting the grips and the pins in for when we're putting the hair up. It's an absolute godsend.
So you're only going to use this at the root, working out a few inches, or you're going to do it in between sections?
I'm going to do it from the root to about mid-length is all I'm going to need.
Root to mid-length?
Yeah. Come in about an inch depth, so that's like top of my thumb, about an inch depth all the way around the hairline, and then just start working on that.
So while Gary's working through with the crimper, a couple of things that you might want to maybe do depending on the hair texture. It's just what Gary's doing now. He's using Le Play, which obviously has a slight amount of hold to it, and it's obviously our hairspray that's brushable, workable, movable through the hair. But he's using a small amount of that just to get slightly more grip and more texture built into the hair. So again, another great tip from Gary there. Right, so Gary's finished working with the crimper now on the interior to get that texture that he wanted in there. And now he's just going to work through, am I right in saying the fringe area or around the front, Gary?
Yeah, just the front, just to add a bit of movement to it. And just to show you that even though you've crimped the hair, you can still curl over the top of it. And I'm doing this before I've brushed all the hair through. Very important, that as well.
So you're going to use the Unite wand with the interchangeable sizes, correct?
Correct.
And you use the largest size?
The large size, once again, a little bit of Le Play hairspray to add to the hold. And this will just help me because we never know when we put the hair up what the total look's going to be. We're aiming for the result, but this is almost like a safeguard.
Okay, and the hair's obviously going to be put up, so this just literally is adding foundation to it. So we'll watch Gary work through with the wand now before he gets into the updo.
We've now got something that's changed the fabric completely. I've now got resistancy in the hair, which is what I was after. So a nice vigorous brush through, but as you can see, all of that crimping is on the interior. We've still got nice healthy shine on the outside of the hair.
Now he's working on, obviously, the updo and how that's actually going to look and what he's going to do. I'm going to get Gary to explain how he's working through this shape and the sections that he's putting in to create the final look that he's going for. So Gary, why don't you take us through this step by step?
Okay, thank you, Dale. I'm doing a double vertical roll, so that means obviously both sides coming back to meet in the middle. And to implement that, I've subdivided the back of the hair. So we've got a radial parting from behind the ear, both sides. So I've moved that hair out of the way. Common mistake I see people trying to do with things like this, they're trying to use all of the hair in one go. So we're separating that off, and then we split the hair, profile parting from the top of the crown down to nape of the neck. Section that hair out of the way, and then we're going to start our first vertical roll on this side. This is where the crimping really does help, is that when I brush it through now with my little Unite teasing brush, it really adds to that little bit of back brushing I'm going to do. And I'm always doing what I call the interior side of the hair, so where the hair will come back and lay over the top, I'm doing the underneath. Nice methodical sections. Look at the technique on the brush, it's like a rolling technique. You see through here, so you just roll with your wrist, okay? 3-4 times more than adequate. Come back in, bit more to play. And what you're looking for is to see that hair standing out from the root. You can see through here, it's got a nice body, it's going to stand out. Makes our life a lot easier. And then to implement our vertical roll, my tip for this is that you come in with your other hand and you place that facing towards the head, so it's palm towards you. You grip it between your thumb and your forefinger near the root base, and you just turn your hand over. Okay, just do that one more time. Just turn your hand over. And there we have the basics of our vertical roll. Come in with a pin, go with the hair, and then go against the hair. And you can see 2 pins, it stayed up. And just secure at the top. With the hair that's left on the top, you can see this is long, we just twist, and we will lose that in the top of the roll.
Okay, so Gary's completed the second roll on the back now, and again using those 2 front pieces just to smooth over I'm not quite sure what you called that, Gary, the smoothing part, was it? The
Polishing part.
polishing part, which I love. I think that's great. So remembering that, that's very important. The shape's looking beautiful right now. Obviously, we've got the front to finish off. Now, I know Gary was mentioning this look is something that they do a lot backstage at Fashion Week, and it's something that we should all learn and we should all get down, because you have to do this pretty quickly when you're backstage, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's, you know, in my career, doing things like this very, very quickly for weddings, red carpet, proms, it's a great tool to have in your armoury, and you'll really have a great clientele that's very thankful that you can do this as well.
Brilliant. So Gary's going to work on the front piece now. What are you actually going to do with this piece that you've got in the front, Gary? Obviously you've left it out for a reason.
Yeah, so this is the bit where I like to leave out and sort of let hairdressers become creative. You have so many options now. You can take this straight back, so we're looking at face shape, etc. We can drag pits over for have a fringe. So it's more about making this now bespoke for your client. So we're going to look at really what the problem areas are for this. So very long quantity of hair here. So this is where I find that sometimes hairdressers get a bit frightened about this. So what I've got to do is find a home for this. And this is where that vertical roll can be very useful. But sometimes I may have decided to put it either into that, tuck it in that way, which I can show you a really simple way of doing that, or I can even form it down the middle and just lose it in the center. But I'm going to show you how you lose this on the top.
All right then, Gary. Well, let's see how Gary finishes this with the last piece that he's got, and then we'll come back once the whole shape has been finished completely. What a beautiful shape that Gary's created here, and how simple it was the way he worked with the hair to get it there. I love what you've done with that front piece as well, and like you said, you can use that and work with that in a couple of different options depending on the creativity of the hairdresser working on the actual look that you've got. I think it's nice to listen to what Gary was saying about having this in his toolbox, as it were, of things that he can do very, very quickly and very easily. Going to be fantastic for you in the salon. It's obviously going to stay all night. Lovely working with Le Play, because obviously it was the type of hairspray that's not too heavy, not too hard holding, and just easy to work with, but beautiful shape. So let's have a quick recap on the products that Gary used. He started off with the U-Dry Plus, just to add a little bit more texture to the hair and some slight volume in it as well. Then working with U-Dry Fresh, just to finish up on the ends to make sure that the hair was looking absolutely perfect. And then while working with the crimper and working with the wand, he used our Le Play hairspray, which is the workable hairspray that's easier to brush through and work with. Those were the products that Gary used today on his Updo. These are the products that I think you should be working with as well.